Hi and welcome to my review of Bimber Single Cask Sherry Cask. I'm Toby and you're watching Whiskey Shared. Welcome to my review of Bimber Single Cask Sherry Cask. This is one of a trio of single cask whiskies from the Bimber London single malt distillery. This particular one is ex-bourbon Sherry Cask whiskey. It's one of 329 bottles and this is bottle 289. It's bottled at 58.1% and this is from cask number 42. In the trio of single cask whiskies there was also an ex-bourbon and a virgin oak cask. I decided to go for the sherry cask because I thought it would pack the most flavour. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I was tempted to try and buy the others, but I know how in demand these are and how sought after anything from Bimber is, and I'm led to understand that all three of the single cask whiskies sold out in about 10 minutes, which is it's pretty good going. So I was glad I got one bottle and I wasn't trying to be greedy. I've already shared this bottle with 10 other people from the Bimber Appreciation Society on Facebook. I'll put a link in the description so you can join if you'd like to. And I'm also a recent member of Bimber Klub, which is their sort of members only club. It's not overly expensive. It's £40 to join and you do get a few freebies as part of joining. So I'll also put a link in the description if you're interested in that. So, should we find out what it tastes like? On to the whiskey. Right, so before I nose and taste this, I will mention, as I have previously, if you've not seen one of my Bimber videos, how impressed I am with the presentation. Not only is the paper stock that they use really good quality, it's embossed, there's sort of gold embossing on it. It's also replicated on the tubes as well, so it really is good presentation, and it really is something that Bimber are doing well, in my opinion. So I poured some into my Bimber glass. Let's have a quick look at the colour. I'd say that the colour there is like a mahogany. It really is quite dark. So yeah, impressive colour. This was bottled on the 7th of May 2020, and I believe it is still 3 years old. It may be nearly 4 years old, but it's 3 years old as far as I'm aware. So let's try it on the nose. Right, so what I get is really strong sort of like treacle note. I get like a burnt sugar. There's a really strong sweet sherry note, which is what you'd expect from an ex-bourbon sherry butt. It's quite tannic. You can pick up that those sort of dry tannin notes on the nose. But I also get like a gingerbread note or like a buttery biscuit. It's really quite nice. But obviously there is sort of dark fruits there, but I'd say it's more like prunes, that sort of note, and there is a hint of vanilla in there as well. Yeah, so let's try it on the palate. Right, so it really is quite viscous. There's really sort of nice thickening of the whiskey in your mouth. As you hold it in your mouth, it sort of changes texture and thickens in your mouth. It's, as I mentioned before, 58.1%, and it is quite pleasant, neat. I would say that it's sort of dram that you want to take your time over and probably add a few drops of water after every sip and see how it develops. But I'm also getting quite a lot of heat. Obviously, that's going to come from the ABV, but it's not unpleasant. It's not attacking the palate and making me feel I instantly need to add water. So with that heat comes a bit of peppery prickle. Obviously that is attributed, I'm sure, to the ABV. Not always, but obviously the more you add water, the more you can find out if that dissipates. And obviously there's lots of sort of sherry, strong wine notes, really quite sweet. Let's have another sip. Yeah, so on the second sip, one thing I pick up, and this is something I've picked up on every single Bimber release, and it's what comes through from the new make is like a sour fruit note. It's not unpleasant, the note, but it is quite noticeable, and the fact that, having tried the new make, you can pick that up on each of the releases, no matter what it's been in or finished in, or how old. The DNA is carried through with the whiskey, which is really good. The fact that it identifies itself, and no matter what the influence is, that's still there in the background, so that's really quite nice. But I would say there's a little bit of bitterness with that sort of tannic note. Not unpleasant, but it is noticeable. So as it dissipates, that finish is dry along with that bitterness. Not too dry and not too bitter. I'd say that chili pepper sort of note lingers when you drink it neat, and there's like a brown sugar note that lingers on the tongue as well. But I also pick up like a flavour of charcoal. When you've maybe had charred food on the barbecue, there's that sort of note. And there's almost like a bitter dark chocolate at the end, which is quite nice, especially if you like strong dark chocolate. But that finish is quite long. It's the sort of dram that when you have a sip, you don't need much, and you can make it last a really long time. So a small dram like this, could last anywhere between sort of 40, 50 minutes, maybe even longer. It's really is a dram to be savoured and take your time with. But obviously this is the only one of the single casks I've tried, and it's the only one I obviously bought. I would like to try the others side by side. Really would have been good to see the influence from the different casks, but I'm sure I'd be happy with whichever one I chose, and I really am quite impressed by this one. So although you can't buy this because it's sold out so quickly, do keep an eye on Bimber, and if you can get hold of any of their releases, then I'd recommend it. So here's the Bimber Launcher. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not give it a like or a comment, and please consider subscribing for more videos like this.